Hi, welcome to the book club. This month we're reading Worn Stories by Emily Spivack, and this is one of my favorite books. I bought this book, I want to say 4 or 5 years ago, and it's one of my favorite gifts. I give this book a lot to people. It's comprised of a whole bunch of short stories about people's stuff. I want to say maybe like 20 or 30 stories of people's stuff and what they mean to them or how they acquire them or why they have it still. What's interesting about the item. There are some famous people with some famous stories in here. And lately, I feel like I've been talking a lot about like the meaning of memorabilia, and we're the legacy holders of our families. Teaching a class right now called Meaningful Memorabilia, that just kind of helps people through making decisions about what to keep, what to get rid of, and why are we keeping things. Like, have we given the time to understand what our parents are giving us? Like, does every photo has a story, and does it have a name? Do we know who they belong to? So this book felt really fitting for me to just kick off the year and the book club in a way that is like light and exciting. Normally I do a book summary and a book report that is available on our website, so you can look for that. I haven't worked on that yet. So, but by the time you get this video delivered to you, or it's available on my YouTube channel, the report will be available for you to pick it up. So I didn't ask permission to share this story with you, so I hope the author will be okay, and I hope you'll love this book just as much as I do, and maybe you'll go out and get a copy for yourself, just to have it. It's just a great way to be reminded that that not all things that we have in our lives are clutter, and some of those things really mean something. And if they do mean something to you, do people around you that you love know the meaning of these things to you? So if something was to happen to you, would they be willing to say, this mug is super important to me, and here's why, and it could live on into somebody else's lives or whatnot. So what I want to do is I want to read my favorite story to you, and hopefully you enjoy the story just as much as I do. The story is by Davy Rathbart, and goes like this. I picked up a guy just past Flagstaff, a tiny grizzled man on the shoulder of Highway 64, with his thumb out, wearing a backpack bigger than himself. I stopped, and he walked towards me, a tin canteen dangling from his pack. Next to that, I noticed, was a pair of hiking boots, hanging by their shoelaces. The guy's face was creased and smudged, and he thrust out a hand. Young man, thanks for stopping. Name is John. Where are you headed? The Grand Canyon, I said. Bingo, me too. Headed west in the car, John told me that he worked in a machine shop in Lowell, Massachusetts for 35 years. But his lifelong dream was to visit the Grand Canyon. He read dozens of books about it, studied its geology and its history. He even surrounded his bed with pictures cut out from National Geographic. John said he always talked about the Grand Canyon, even at work. And a few weeks ago, one of the guys at the shop said, "For Christ's sake, shut up already. Grand Canyon this, Grand Canyon that. You are never going to make it there." So John said, "Okay, I quit." He turned in his stools, walked out, and scraped together enough money for a Greyhound ticket to Amarillo. He said goodbye to his mother and his teenage son, who shared his apartment, and hopped on the bus. It took him 3 days to reach Amarillo and 3 more days to hitchhike to Flagstaff. Now that we're closing in on the Grand Canyon itself, he was shaking with excitement. "I can't believe we'll be there in less than 2 hours," he said. He clapped his hand. He drummed on the dashboard. He whistled at the sight of every towering cactus we passed. Then he peered at me. "Say, you're pretty quiet. What are you brooding about?" I told him my broken heart, the girlfriend who moved to Scotland, and how I hadn't dated or kissed another girl in 2 years. I have never been more lost, I said. John just nodded like he understood. I took comfort that I was about to witness someone realize his lifelong dream. We passed the ranger station at the outer perimeter of the park, and for the next 12 miles, as we approached the edge, John leaned halfway out the window like a happy hound. I have never seen an old man move so fast as when we reached the first outlook. And John bounced from the car and sprinted towards the edge to gaze across at the vast chasm. He turned back to me, eyes wet, face shining. We hiked an hour down into the canyon as the sun lowered. John's book learning about the canyon had worked. He enthusiastically pointed out rocks and wildlife, full of information. John, the machine shop worker from Lowell, had become a radiant expert on the Grand Canyon. He fell into content silence as we returned to the rim. The canyon hummed at our backs. We found a campground, pitched a tent in the dark, and shared a canteen full of whiskey as it started to snow. In the morning, we went to the park office. John was there, but now what? He had no money or a place to stay. We thought he could stir up a job working as trail maintenance. The head ranger, astonished at his depth of knowledge, hired him on the spot. I bought John a few days' worth of groceries and paid for his campsite through the weekend to tie him over. In return, John offered me his hiking boots. "Take 'em," he said. Before I could protest, "They don't fit me. I got the ugliest blister you have ever seen. I'll be better off in sneakers." What he meant, I realized, was that he reached his destination and I hadn't. There was farther for me to go, and I needed those boots more than him. He was right. I wore them for years. The story always makes me emotional. So as we start a new year, and I know everybody has New Year's resolutions about getting more organized and getting rid of things and changing their lives in some sort of way. My wish for you is that that you reach a destination the best way you can, and that you can honor things for what they are, for what they mean to you, and that you can let go of the things that no longer serve you, and that you find love and peace in a clutter-free space that looks however it is that it looks best for you. I hope you enjoyed the book. It has lots of more amazing stories like that. That is just one of my favorites. And I will see you next month for our next book club. Bye.